3 sinister summer night horror tales, spine-chilling secrets exposed and cursed truths revealed. Sarah stepped out of the diner, the heat so thick it clung to her skin like a second layer. The laughter and light of her neighbors' summer barbecues were nowhere to be found, replaced with a haunting silence that twisted her gut. Something felt off. Her heart began to race as she called out for her 2 children, but only echoes answered back. Jamie? Lily? Panic bled into her thoughts. Sarah pushed open the door to their small, modest home, dread pooling in her chest. The air was stale, the darkness oppressive. That familiar warmth of trust, of home, was absent. A chill swept through her, and as she stepped outside, the night sky hung low above, pregnant with unseen horrors. The streets looked different, dimly lit and threatening. The flickering streetlights turned her neighborhood into a twisted landscape where shadows danced like ominous spirits. The houses, once charming in their quirkiness, now loomed like silent, judgmental sentinels. Overgrown lawns whispered secrets of neglect and fear. The world outside felt as though it was warping, twisting into a nightmare as her panic clawed its way to the surface. An ominous rustle from a nearby tree caught her attention. As she moved closer, strange symbols revealed themselves, carved deep into the bark, shapes that danced on the fringes of folklore she used to dismiss. "It's just my anxiety," she muttered, but the gripping tales of children disappearing on summer nights grasped at her mind. What was happening? Sarah trudged deeper into the eerie silence, mind racing with thoughts of her children. The neighbor who always waved now turned away, his eyes avoiding hers like she was a pariah. The police officer she once smiled at turned cold and disinterested. And the mayor, the very face of their community, was nowhere to be found. She noticed a flicker at the corner of her eye, a streetlight malfunctioning. Beside it, a figure loomed in the shadows, a silhouette that felt all too familiar yet sinister. As she approached, she heard whispers carried on the heavy air, secretive and conspiratorial. The fear that had settled in the pit of her stomach began to tighten like an iron vice. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With renewed determination, Sarah followed a path worn into the ground, leading her through a garden now overgrown, once beloved by the community. What began as lush vegetation now felt wild, threatening like the town's facade crumbling around her. In the center of the garden stood a spectral figure, draped in shadows and mystery, speaking in riddles that made her skin crawl. Here lay the legends of blood marks and curses, spoken in hushed tones, echoing through the decades. The soft laughter of her missing children floated through the air, taunting her, bouncing off the walls of her mind. Every thump of her heart mirrored the suffocating dread that gripped her. With a surge of desperation, Sarah squared her shoulders against the growing darkness. She would uncover the truth, even if it meant exposing the secrets festering beneath the surface of the town she once loved. As shadows began to fold around her, submerging her in panic, a realization twisted in her gut. The fight wasn't just for her children anymore. It was survival against an unseen terror lurking just beyond the veil of trust. A chilling question haunted her mind as the darkness deepened. What sinister force had swept her children into the night? The air thickened around Sarah as she felt the weight of the garden's decaying beauty. Each step took her deeper into a realm that felt less familiar, as though she was crossing an invisible boundary into a forgotten nightmare. The figure at its center continued to murmur, head down, hands swaying slowly like branches in a dying wind. "Who are you?" she called out, voice trembling. The figure lifted its head, revealing a face obscured by shadow, yet Sarah felt its gaze piercing through her. The words it whispered turned into a low, gravelly chant that sent chills skittering down her spine. They sounded like a prayer, or perhaps a curse. "You seek them," the figure uttered, voice barely above a whisper. "But are you prepared to bear the truth?" She hesitated, a fleeting instinct urging her to turn and flee, but thoughts of Jamie and Lily kept her rooted. Each heartbeat pulsed like a drum warning of a grave danger. Tell me, where are my children? With a sudden surge, the figure stepped forward, the shadows immense and enveloping, as if a storm had descended upon her. They dwell within the womb of the night. It crooned, voice thick with malice. Only those brave enough can reclaim what was lost. Fear coiled tighter around her chest. What do you mean? What happened to them? They are part of the silence now, part of the secrets this town has locked away, the figure declared, the rhythm of its chanting intensifying with each word. Sleepless eyes watch and wait. Dread surged through Sarah at the mention of sleepless eyes. The stories came flooding back, the hushed whispers of lost children, tales of shadows grasping at the innocent, the fabled curse that gripped their town every summer night. The townsfolk had always brushed those stories aside, but now they danced like flames in her mind. An icy breeze swept through, prickling her skin and warning her of encroaching darkness. She could feel it, creeping, serpentine, clawing its way out of the shadows the town was waking. She stumbled back, dread pooling around her feet like quicksand. "Please, I just want my kids," she cried, desperation bleeding into her voice. "Tell me how to find them." The figure's face contorted into a grotesque smile, all teeth and shadow. "You must play the game, wanderer. Find the heart of the town's secret, and perhaps you'll see the truth that lies just beyond your reach." Then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the figure melted back into the shadows, leaving only the echo of its laughter swirling around her. The whispers returned, growing louder, almost mocking her resolve. With her resolve hardening like steel, Sarah turned and sprinted back through the garden, ignoring the sharp pricks of twigs scratching at her skin. She wouldn't stop until she uncovered the heart of this darkness. Bursting out of the garden, she dashed down the street, breathless with terror. The moon hung low, cruel and mocking, as she noticed figures lining the streets, faces twisted in silent screams, eyes hollow and gaping. The entire neighborhood had transformed into a wretched mob, their eyes glistening with something unnatural. They didn't blink, didn't move aside. Heart racing, Sarah took a wild turn into the town square, desperate for answers. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of being hunted. But just as she began to process her surroundings, a chilling sound broke the thick silence. A child's laughter ringing out from the shadows, clear and sweet and achingly familiar. "Jamie? Lily?" she gasped, heart soaring even as her gut twisted. The laughter echoed again, urging her forward deeper into the darkness, deeper into the web of secrets and curses that had entwined her life. But what awaited her in the depths of that night? Something told her she might not like what she found. The laughter danced through the dark like a ghostly melody, twisting Sarah's heart into knots. She took a tentative step forward, the ground beneath her feeling alive, shuddering under the weight of her desperation. "Jamie? Lily?" Her voice was barely a whisper against the heavy silence that enveloped her. The laughter rang out again, this time echoing from a cluster of trees at the edge of the square, their branches stretching like gnarled fingers into the night. Shadows flitted between the trunks, playful yet predatory. Was it possible? Could it be them? Panic surged, intensifying the scent of earth and decay floating around her. The figures in the square watched her, unmoving, their vacant stares fixed as if they were waiting for something to unfold, waiting for her. With every instinct raging to turn and run, she pressed onward, her breath quickening. "Mommy!" The sudden plea sliced through the air, raw and desperate. She stumbled, her heart crashing against her ribs. That voice she recognized, it was unmistakably Lily's. "Lily? I'm coming." As she drew closer to the trees, the shadows danced, swirling like dark water. "You're not ready," a voice hissed, echoing from all directions. It was the figure from the garden, its shadowy shape weaving in and out of the trees, taunting her. "Leave me alone," Sarah shouted, the defiance swelling in her chest. "I demand to see my children." The laughter transformed into a cacophony, the sound splitting her mind as hidden eyes turned toward her, the air thickening with unspeakable tension. Suddenly, the shadows parted, revealing a small clearing, illuminated by a sliver of moonlight. In the center stood two small figures, their backs turned, heads bowed beneath the weight of darkened hair. A sickening dread coiled inside Sarah as she drew closer, an instinct telling her that they weren't the children she remembered. Jamie? Lily? She took another step, heart hammering. Slowly, the children turned around. As their faces emerged from the shadows, Sarah recoiled in horror. Their hollow eyes glistened, void of life, mouths stretched into cruel smiles that didn't match their innocent forms. "We're playing, Mommy," they chimed in unison, their voices sweet but laden with something dark. "Come, join us." The ground trembled beneath Sarah's feet as the shadows elongated, reaching for her like grasping hands. "No," she screamed, stepping back. "You're not my children. You can't be them." The laughter faded, replaced by an eerie silence that deepened into mockery, echoing off the town's dark architecture. She knew she had to escape, but as she turned, the figures in the square had shifted, closing the gap, blocking her path, silent guardians of whatever cursed truth lay ahead. The chill in the air turned into a palpable fear, wrapping around her like a serpent, squeezing. "Help us," the children whispered, their voices intertwining with the haunting laughter. "Or be part of the game forever." Terror coursed through her veins as she was forced to confront a deeper question. What price would she pay to save them, if they were even worth saving anymore? She felt the echoes of the town's secrets clawing at her mind, pulling her closer to the edge of the darkness. Suddenly, a flicker in the moonlight caught her eye. A discarded doll with matted hair lay at the foot of the trees, its button eyes seeming to watch her. She knelt instinctively, heart racing, and felt the pulse of the curse thrumming through the town, desperately beckoning her forward. "Will you play?" the shadows chanted, their voices creeping into her ear, filling her with dread. But as she reached for the doll, everything shifted. Now, breaths of whispers brushed against her skin, compelling, intoxicating. From beyond the trees, a voice rose fierce and cold, chilling to her core. "The truth is darker than you imagine." As the shadows closed in, leaving her swirling in an abyss of uncertainty, Sarah felt the chilling grip of destiny tighten around her throat. She had to make a choice. What lay beneath the town's secrets? Could she bear the monstrous truth, or would it consume her whole? The weight of the doll felt heavy in Sarah's hand, as if it were alive with its own sinister heartbeat. The shadowy figures swirled closer, their laughter transforming into a dissonance of shrieks and hisses that clawed at her sanity. "Entertain us," they taunted, shadows closing in, the gloom thickening around her. Her gut churned, the instinct to flee battling against the magnetic pull of the twisted smiles before her. Was it truly Jamie and Lily? Or were those precious memories mangled into something grotesque and unrecognizable? "You're not my children," she cried out, the words tearing from deep within her, filled with desperation. The laughter ceased suddenly, replaced by an oppressive silence where breaths mingled with the damp earth and rotting leaves. The moonlight flickered momentarily, casting distorted shadows across the forest floor. A soft whimper echoed in the dark. Were the real children in there somewhere, trapped beneath nightmares, longing for her to rescue them? "Mommy." The faint plea was barely audible, a mere breeze against the wind, but it thrummed in her chest like a frantic drum. Taking a shuddering breath, she tried to push through the terror coursing through her veins. "Lily, Jamie, what will you do, Mommy?" The creatures crooned, their forms warping and shifting, the edges of their figures blurring like smoke. "Will you leave us again? Will you let the game end?" Each syllable struck her. The shadows seemed to wrap tighter around her limbs, squeezing like a vice. Frantic, she stepped back, the doll slipping from her fingers and landing with a soft thud on the ground, as if it had a life of its own. The moment it hit the earth, the air crackled, an energy palpable enough to make her skin crawl. With sudden clarity, she remembered the odd carvings she'd seen in the garden, the faces of children twisted in fear, pleading for freedom. Were they trapped? Tethered to this cursed existence by the same dread that had pulled her back tonight? "Choose," the shadows hissed, stretching across the ground, writhing towards her. "Join the game, or save their souls." Heart racing, she found the words escaping her mouth before she could stop them. "I'll save them. Just tell me how." The figures fell silent, their eyes glowing with a sinister gleam, the laughter returning, more chaotic than ever. "Then play," they whispered, voices dripping with malice. "Solve the riddle of those who weep." Before Sarah could respond, the trees themselves seemed to shudder, their branches entwining like skeletal fingers reaching for her. The clearing warped, twisting and turning as the shadows drew her into a dizzying swirl. Suddenly, she was plunged into darkness, the world collapsing around her. Her feet found purchase on a cold, damp surface. She blinked, disoriented, looking around to find herself standing in a dimly lit hallway lined with peeling wallpaper. The air hung thick, heavy with despair. "What is this?" she gasped, her voice reverberating into the silence. Behind her, the laughter faded, replaced by something softer, yet somehow more sinister. A soft sobbing echoed through the walls, agonizing and full of longing. Fear slithered through her, icy fingers gripping her spine. "Mommy, save us!" A chorus of voices floated from the shadows, voices that mirrored the children she loved, yet twisted, stretching, distorting into something horrifying. She recalled the doll lying on the forest floor, its eyes watching her, waiting. What had it meant? Was this the key to the game? The riddle? The sobbing grew louder, more urgent. Each wail felt laced with power, beckoning her to find answers where they remained hidden. Without warning, a door creaked open at the far end of the hallway, the light spilling outward, illuminating another room within. Shadows danced wildly at the threshold, breaking with urgent whispers. "Will you dare to enter?" They hissed, hunger in their voices. With a heart drumming wildly, Sarah took a step forward, piercing dread splitting her chest. What truth awaited her inside? And would she emerge unbroken or be swallowed whole? The door hung ominously before her, every instinct screaming to turn back. Yet she pressed on, compelled by love and the desperate desire to rescue her children from the depths of this hell. Her hand trembled as she gripped the doorknob, unsure of her choice, but certain of one thing. Whatever lay beyond could change everything. Would it unleash salvation or doom? The doorknob felt cold against her skin, a shocking contrast to the heat radiating from fear coursing through her veins. Gritting her teeth, she turned it slowly. The door creaked open, groaning as if protesting the intrusion. A pale light spilled out, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air like trapped spirits. With her heart racing, Sarah crossed the threshold. Each step felt like a betrayal to her sanity, drawing her deeper into a nightmare. The floorboards creaked beneath her feet, a soft lament echoing in the silence. The room was small, cluttered with old furniture draped in white sheets that looked like ghosts themselves. As she scanned the room, her eyes settled on a large, ornate mirror standing against the far wall. Its surface flickered unsettlingly, not reflecting the room as it should. Instead, it showed swirling shadows, dark figures twisting and writhing within the frame, desperately reaching out as if trying to escape. "Mommy!" The whisper splintered through the air again, panicked and full of urgency. It echoed around her, bouncing off the walls, growing louder until it seemed to rattle her bones. "Lily? Jamie!" Sarah screamed out, fatigue battling her fervor. The bittersweet hope of recognition lingered under the despair. She moved cautiously towards the mirror, drawn by the desperate need to understand. As she approached, the figures inside began to settle, forming nebulous shapes that eerily resembled her children. "Help us!" they cried, their faces contorting with unimaginable terror. "We're trapped." Her breath caught in her throat. Was this a trick? The twisted forms of her children glanced back at her, their screams echoing through the room and mixing with the shadows that lurked around her. She couldn't look away, entranced by their pleading eyes. They were so close yet so achingly far that a shudder coursed through the air, and the sobs intensified, a cacophony of mourning rising from the depths of the room. Then, suddenly, a low growl cut through the noise, powerful and unnatural. The shadows flared, swirling violently, as if angry at her desperation. It was a warning, a threat. "Don't let them fool you," the shadows hissed, their voices thick with venomous glee. "They are ours, they are lost. Stop. Just stop," Sarah shouted, clenching her fists. But the shape in the mirror distorted, surging violently forward, pushing against the glass like a trapped animal. "Mommy, please," the voices pleaded again, but this time, there was an unmistakable dread in their tone. In a sudden surge of clarity, Sarah realized the mirror was the key. The twisted reflection wasn't merely showing her children. It was a prison, a threshold tying their souls to this malevolent force lurking within. "What do I need to do?" she asked, her voice trembling with uncertainty, caught in the grip of dread and desperation. Play the game, they whispered, the shadows writhing, drunk on her fear. Set them free or lose all. Sarah stepped back, her foot knocking against an old chair that toppled over with a loud crash, slicing through the tense atmosphere. Leave now, a new voice croaked from somewhere within the chaos, raspy and broken. Please, before it consumes you. Too. Panic surged in her chest as she turned, glancing around the room for an escape. But the shadows coiled tighter, whispering deceptive promises of salvation and tethering her feet to the floor. Sarah fought against the grip of the darkness, her breath short and ragged. The barrier of the mirror loomed behind her, and with fleeting courage, she lunged toward it. What would happen if she touched the glass? Would she shatter the barrier holding her children captive? Or would it draw her into the oppressive void, sealing her fate alongside them? The air shimmered, quaking with energy. Sarah hesitated for a heartbeat, the weight of her choices crashing down upon her like a tidal wave. Then, in an instant, everything went black. Did she make the right decision, or had she plunged into an eternal darkness where the shadows ruled? The echo of their cries enveloped her, growing fainter, twisting like smoke. What truth awaited her in this suffocating abyss? And what price would she pay to reclaim her children? Sarah gasped as she plunged into the blackness. The void swallowed her whole, a suffocating blanket that cut off her breath. Instinct kicked in. She flailed, her arms grasping at nothingness. Panic engulfed her, her heart pounding in her chest like a war drum. Then, suddenly, she tumbled onto a cold, hard surface. It felt smooth yet unyielding, no warmth, no comfort. With trembling hands, she pushed herself upright and glanced around. There was no light here, yet shadows whispered her name, swirling like a dense fog. "Can you hear us?" A voice echoed, fragmented, weaving through the darkness. It was so faint, it could have been a figment of her imagination. "Lily? Jamie?" She cried again, her voice cracking. Desperation clawed up her throat as she risked moving forward. As she stepped carefully, her foot brushed against something soft, a piece of cloth. She bent down to touch it, realizing it was a doll. Lily's favorite, faded and worn, its button eyes glimmering dully in the dark. Sarah recoiled, her heart racing as memories crashed in. Hugging that doll, lulling her daughter to sleep. A normal moment from a normal life, now twisted by this nightmare. She stood, fear surging again. "Where are you? What do you want from me?" The words burst out, echoed by the invisible emptiness around her. "Play with us," the shadows cooed, voices overlapping, taunting her. "Join us in the dark or lose what's left of them." The threat hung in the air, an icy grip that sent shivers racing down her spine. Sarah felt it, the weight of her choices pressing down harder. Was this a sick game designed to break her, to strip away every shred of her hope? "No," she whispered fiercely, finding a spark of defiance deep within. "I want to play. Let them go. I'll do anything." Silence fell, hanging heavily. Then the shadows curled and twisted, vibrating with a sinister laughter. "Anything? What will you sacrifice? Your past? Your sanity? Perhaps yourself?" The taunts wrapped around her, suffocating and seductive. She shook her head fiercely. "I am not afraid." But deep down, she trembled. What would losing herself mean? Would it be mindless, wandering among the shadows forever? Or would she gain the twisted power they promised, becoming the monster they craved? Suddenly, something tugged at her sleeve. She spun around. A familiar face emerged from the darkness, a girl with wide, fearful eyes, her lip quivering. "Mommy?" It was Lily. Her heart soared and broke simultaneously. "Lily, I found you." She reached for her daughter, but the child faded back into the void, swallowed by shadows. "Mommy, help!" Lily's voice echoed, distorted yet so filled with terror, it felt surreal. "No, come back." Sarah's voice cracked, a mixture of desperation and disbelief flooded her senses. "Help me play, or I cannot come home." A chill raced down Sarah's spine. Play? What did that mean? She glanced down and saw the doll again, its button eyes pleading. Was it a clue? The key to her children's release? "Tell me," Sarah shouted, clenching her fists. "What do I have to do?" The darkness pulsed, drawing closer, pulsating with an energy that felt alive. Only the worthy can break the bonds of darkness. Only the bravery of a true heart will set them free. Sarah's eyes went wide with realization. She had to confront the fear clenching her heart. But could she summon that kind of bravery? Would she risk everything, her sanity, her soul, to save them? And in that moment, a new voice cut through the chaos, deeper and more commanding. To play, you must know the rules. Fingers of dread coiled around her. What rules? What terrifying game awaited? The shadows loomed, spinning like an intricate web, a sinister game unfurling. A chill ran through her as she whispered, "This isn't over." What horrors lay in the rules of the game? Were they written in blood? The shadows danced, twisting and swirling like a tempest around her. Each murmur felt deliberate, sinister. "Understand the rules, dear Sarah," the voice intoned, wrapping around her like a snake. "Every choice has a consequence." Her breath hitched as a wave of dread washed over her. What rules governed this dark place? Would they draw her deeper into this nightmare? "Tell me," she shouted again. "I need to save them." "There are 3 trials," the voice continued, each word savoring its weight. "Face your fears, confront your truth, and decide what you're willing to lose." 3 trials. Panic twisted her stomach. What did that even mean? Which fears? Which truths? The shadows tightened around her, dark hands reaching out, drawing closer. "Face your fear," the words pulsed with an unearthly rhythm. A memory flickered to life, consuming her thoughts. She could see herself, years ago, standing in the entrance of their old home with Lily and Jamie. There had been a fire, a splintering crack that had reverberated through their lives, forever altering their fate. "I can't go back there, I can't." Her voice trembled with panic. "Follow the whispers," the shadows hissed. "Let them guide you to what you have buried." Sarah stumbled, a desperate urge compelling her toward the echoing void. "No, I'll just..." She saw Lily's face momentarily against the darkness, eyes wide with fear. "I need to help you. I'll do whatever it takes." The shadows pulsed as if hungry for the promise in her words. With every hesitant step, she felt the memories crash over her like icy waves. The smoke, the screams, the feeling of helplessness. "This is your chance, Sarah," the voice urged, reverberating. "Face it. What do you fear, losing more, yourself or your children?" The decision clawed at her mind. How could she choose? Horror twisted her gut. "No, I want to choose. I refuse to give in." The shadows laughed, a bone-chilling cacophony that echoed through her heart. "You know deep down what you must do. To save them, you must know yourself. Confront the flame." As if summoned by her dread, a flicker of light emerged from the shadows, shaping into the entrance of her old house, a still frame locked in time. The scent of smoke flared in her nostrils, a suffocating reminder. "Step into the past," the voice beckoned softly, almost tenderly. "Embrace what you fear." "Please stop," Sarah begged, tears clawing at her eyes. She squeezed them shut, battling the suffocating memories while grasping for a shred of hope. If Lily and Jamie were to be saved, confronting this memory felt like the only choice left. With a deep breath, she forced herself to step forward, crossing the threshold into the house. Immediately, familiar heat kissed her skin, a remnant of that fateful day. It all flooded back. The flames, the terror, and the horrific realization that she'd left them behind. "Mommy," the voice echoed again, sharp with fear. "No," she gasped, her heart racing, the words tumbling out. "I need to get you out. Stay with me." The heat intensified, closed in, and she felt consumed by the inferno of guilt and regret. But suddenly, the heat shifted. It morphed into a chilling cold, prickling her skin and numbing her senses. "What will you sacrifice?" came the voice, this time low and menacing, causing the shadows to swirl, reaching out with their dark tendrils. She was forced to confront her choices, her failures. Would she surrender to the past? Would she abandon herself to save her children in this twisted game? As she screamed out, her own voice echoed against the walls of the darkness, drowned out by the whispers. "Play with us, make your choice." In that moment, she felt time freeze. Every choice became a suffocating chain, each option tainted by fear. What would she lose to escape this hell? Just as despair wrapped its icy fingers around her heart, she glimpsed something in the shadows, a flicker of shimmering light off something sharp and twisted. A glimmer of hope, or another trap. "Choose. Time is running out," whispered the shadows, their voices merging into an agonizing chorus. As Sarah stood at the edge of the abyss, she felt everything tilting, a final decision just out of reach, a chilling question lingering in the air. What did the game demand? What was she truly willing to sacrifice? And then the darkness surged toward her like a tidal wave, threatening to pull her back into its depths. She screamed, her voice echoing through the void as she thought, this can't end here. What awaited her in the next trial? Would she become the very monster she feared? The shadows swallowed her scream, muffling it within the dark, hungry void. A rush of wind roared around her, lifting her hair and swirling her fears into a choking whirlwind. She staggered forward, the darkness enveloping her like an oppressive mist. What have I done? She thought, the thoughts slithering deeper, tangling painfully with her resolve. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, coalescing into the faint outline of a familiar room. Her old living room, left unchanged since the fire, so hauntingly vivid that Sarah's heart pounded violently against her ribcage. A cracked mirror hung on the wall, its surface smeared and broken, fragments reflecting nothing but her wide, terrified eyes. Was this a portal to her past, or merely a cruel illusion crafted by the darkness? "Mommy, where are you? Me, where are you?" A child's voice echoed, sending ice through her veins. It was Jamie. "Help me." She spun around, the weight of guilt tightening its grip around her heart. "Jamie," she screamed, her voice cracking with desperation. But the dim light flickered pitilessly, revealing only her own shadow, stretching and twisting in ways that made her stomach churn. "Face your truths, Sarah." The voice slithered through the air again, taunting her. What did you want to forget? The room darkened, engulfed by memories. Images swirled like a malignant fog there last night, together the warmth of laughter, the taste of popcorn, the blasted news on TV announcing the fire in the neighborhood. A single moment had changed everything. "I tried," she cried out to the restless shadows. "I tried to save you. I swear." Tears fell, but the shadows only absorbed her pain, growing heavier and darker. "Did you?" The voice challenged, sending darkness creeping closer, wrapping around her ankles like a snake. "Tell the truth. Did you really try, or did you run?" Her mind raced back again, past the innocence of those flickering, joyful moments. A frenzied recollection, her frantic dash to grab her keys, her panic when the flames had crawled too close. She had hesitated, just for a second, to look back. The seconds felt like hours, and the smoke had rushed in, blinding her not just to the fire but to the truth. "Fear can be a killer," the voice taunted, "but it can also be the key. What do you see when you look in the mirror, Sarah? Is it the mother, or is it the coward?" "Stop!" Sarah shrieked, but she felt their lost laughter and pain echoing around her as reminders of the truth she couldn't face. Suddenly, the cracked mirror pulsed with urgency, reflecting a flickering flame that danced behind her. She turned, and for a moment, she could see them, Lily and Jamie, standing amidst the swirling smoke, wide, terrified eyes yearning for her. The frosty grip of regret squeezed her throat. "Make a choice." The shadows clawed closer, the whispers threatening to drown her in despair. "What are you willing to risk?" Something inside her cracked open, revealing a raw, pulsating kernel of strength. "I want to lose you again," she shouted, the defiance igniting within her like a small flame in the darkness. At that moment, the mirror shimmered. Through the chaos, a more profound realization dawned: she could save them, but at what cost? Was she prepared to face her greatest fear, herself? As the shadows surged forward, hunger glimmering in their depths, she grasped that flicker of hope tightly, bracing for what would come next. Then, everything tilted. She found herself falling, spiraling into a bottomless void where the choice awaited, a choice that could shatter her soul or restore it. Would she have the courage to face the monster in the mirror, or would the darkness claim her forever? She fell through the void, a swirling cacophony of darkness pressing against her from all sides. The grip of shadows tightened, a suffocating blanket that pulled at her, threatening to drag her deeper into nothingness. A pulse of dread coursed through her, but beneath it simmered a flicker of determination. As her descent slowed, she landed softly on a wooden floor that creaked under her weight. The familiar scent of smoke and ash lingered in the air, mingling with a sickly sweetness that made her stomach turn. Standing, Sarah's heart raced. The shadows had transformed into shapes, figures just out of reach. "Mommy," whispered Jamie's voice, hauntingly close, yet she could not see him. "Jamie, where are you?" Panic surged again. She ran toward the sound. The floorboards groaned like they were alive, each step sending chills crawling up her spine. Shadows flickered against the walls, undulating as if alive, a silent mockery of her desperate search. "Help me." That voice again, fragile and filled with fear, guiding her deeper into the darkened hallway. "Stay where you are. I'm coming," she yelled, her voice cracking, barely able to mask the terror brewing in her chest. The echo rang hollow, mocking her. Would she find him? Or would she be swallowed by her own cowardice? The hallway narrowed, its walls festooned with photographs, their faces burnt and blackened, eyes hollow. It felt like stepping into a grave. She shuddered, remembering them, her laughing family now lost in a sea of horror. Suddenly, she halted. From the corner of her eye, a movement caught her attention, something lurking, slinking just out of sight. "Who is there?" she shouted, though her voice trembled like fragile glass. The shadows converged, dark fingers reaching out from the corners, clawing at her sanity. "Face them," the voice whispered again, a cold caress against her ear. "Face your fears." At that moment, every hesitant step she had taken before, every ounce of guilt she bore surfaced like bile in her throat. A cold sweat drenched her back. "I'm not afraid of you," she shouted, clenching her fists, feeling every ounce of regret morphing into rage. "Not afraid. We are your truth." The shadows twisted and morphed, showing fragmented images of Jamie and Lily. "You did this to them." "No. I tried," she cried out, desperation etched across her face. "I was trapped. I didn't did you?" The voice dripped with honeyed mockery, and the air grew thick and sour. Shapes darted in the peripheral, blurred movements teasing her vision, whispering secrets she longed to forget. With a scream of defiance, she charged forward, feeling the weight of the darkness pressing against her shoulders. She had to face it, had to confront the wreckage of her choices. The hallway grew narrower, walls closing in as whispers escalated to cacophonous shrieks, drowning her in their desperate cries. "I won't be afraid," she roared, a surge of adrenaline fueling her. She pressed on, until finally, she skidded to a stop in a vast chamber, a pit of swirling shadows and flickering flames that fought against towering walls of darkness. In the center, the cracked mirror reappeared, fragments twitching like the very essence of her life, beckoning her to look once more. Through the glass, she caught a glimpse of her reflection, haunted, broken, yet alive. "Make your choice," the shadows hissed, the air thick with dreadful anticipation. Could she step into the mirror and fight for what remained? Or would she let the darkness consume her whole? As she reached for the mirror's edge, the shards gleamed ominously, a choice echoing between salvation and ruin. What lay on the other side of that reflection? Would she emerge whole, or would the darkness finally claim her? As Sarah stared into the cracked mirror, everything seemed to hang in the balance, a thick, tangible tension crackling in the air. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding painfully against her ribs. "What do I really want?" she murmured to herself, desperate for clarity amidst the whirlwind of emotions spiraling around her. The reflections twisted, and for a fleeting moment, Sarah glimpsed herself as a child, laughing freely, before the image warped into the shadows of guilt and regret. In a sudden transaction with herself, she realized that to save Jamie and Lily, she had to confront the truth buried deep within her heart, the fear that had haunted her since that fateful night. "Face it. You have to choose," the shadows hissed, their words a chilling reminder of her past failures. In that moment, she understood what she must sacrifice. The whispers morphed into urgent, pleading voices, the echoes of her children. "Mommy, help us," they called. The plea gripped her, fueling her resolve. "I will save you," she shouted, her voice ricocheting off the walls like a cannon. The determination flared in her chest, igniting a fierce light within the depths of the gathering darkness. She stepped closer to the mirror, hands trembling but steady, a culmination of love and rage propelling her forward. "I refuse to be a coward," she screamed, words ripping from her throat with unyielding power. "I will not let you take them. I will face the fire." In that moment of defiance, the mirror pulsed with energy, crackling around its surface like electricity. The wall of shadows pressed tighter, a torrent of malevolent whispers swirling around her, but she pushed through. "I will save my children. I will face whatever horrors lie within." Throwing herself against the surface of the mirror, Sarah felt it shatter. A rush of light and shadow mingled in an explosion of brilliant agony. She was flung into the depths of her memories, a whirlwind of images flashing before her. The warmth of Jamie and Lily's laughter, the sound of their tiny voices, the way they clung to her when they needed comfort. Each moment flooded her with purpose and strength. As the darkness of her past and shadows of guilt closed in, she stood tall in the eye of the tempest. Confronting the flames of that dreadful night wasn't just about a moment. It was about facing every regret, every doubt, and demanding her narrative back. "Give them back," Sarah roared, her voice reverberating through the abyss. In response, a blinding light erupted from the shattered remains of the mirror, illuminating the shadowy figures surrounding her. She could see Jamie and Lily's faces, distorted yet palpable, eyes wide with desperation. "Mommy!" The shadows swirled, writhing against the light, as if the truth was burning them away. "You cannot save what is lost," they shrieked, but Sarah refused to relent. "I want to accept that," she cried, the determination pooling in her fingertips. "I will break this curse. I will bring you home." The energy surged through her limbs, a visceral force against the gloom. With a fierce roar, she reached beyond the chaos, pushing through the darkness, pulling her children's spirits closer to her. She willed the warmth of her love to envelope them, fighting against the malevolence that sought to tear them apart. "You're not lost. You are mine. You are loved." A brilliant light erupted, blinding her momentarily as sweat dripped down her brow and her heart thundered in her chest. With each pulse, she felt Jamie and Lily drawing nearer, warmth blossoming within her chest. Suddenly, she found herself in a warm embrace, the shadows dissipating around her like mist under the sun. "Mommy," came the soft, quivering voice of Lily. I'm here. Sarah sobbed, tears streaming down her cheeks as she wrapped her arms tightly around her children. They clung to her, warmth radiating through the depths of her soul, overturning the chill that had once held sway. As the shadows melted away, revealing her familiar surroundings, Sarah gasped. The garden sparkled as if reborn, life flooding back into the streets. Illuminated by a gentle glow, the grotesque figures that had haunted her were now gone, replaced by the joyous laughter of neighbors who once basked in summer barbecues. "Mommy, I was scared," Jamie whispered, his small hands gripping her tightly. "I know, my love. But we're safe now," Sarah replied, her voice trembling with emotion as relief flooded her veins. For the first time in what felt like forever, they were whole again together, bathed in the warmth of hope. The shadows that once loomed over their town were swept away, and with them, the chilling curse that had kept them bound. As they stepped into the dawn of a new day, Sarah marveled at the brilliant colors painting the sky. The darkness was gone, and in its place, the warmth of love and the promise of a brighter future. But deep inside, she knew that the darkness could return, lurking just beyond the veil of familiarity. She turned to her children, resolve stirring within her spirit. "We will always stand together," she vowed, pulling them close, no matter what. The world beyond stretched out before them, filled with sunlight, laughter, and the warmth of new beginnings. Yet a weight still remained, each scar a testament to their journey. With determination in her heart, Sarah resolved to guard her family against any returning threats. They would cherish each moment together and confront the shadows should they dare to rise again. In the stillness of that summer morning, Sarah glowed with newfound strength, grounding herself in the love she had fought to reclaim. And as they walked forward hand in hand, she whispered to the universe, "You will not take them from me again." And now, dear viewers, this is where the story ends. But wait, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that promise to chill you to the core. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm seriously. It makes a difference, and you show your support for the channel. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. What do you think will happen next? Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this gripping finale. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Your voice matters, make it heard.